One stormy afternoon, when raindrops were thumping against the windows and thunder rumbled in the distance, Luna was sent to her room. She'd been caught splashing in puddles, tracking mud through the house and laughing far too loudly for a rainy day. She flopped onto her bed, kicking off her muddy boots, and stared out the window at the dark clouds rolling in. She felt the low grumble of thunder in her chest, and somehow it matched the way she felt inside. She was angry, restless, and wild. As she lay there, something strange began to happen. The room grew dimmer, the walls began to blur and stretch like clouds in a fast-forward sky, and her bed seemed to lift gently off the ground. Luna sat up, eyes wide, watching her room dissolve into a swirling mist. Her heart raced as she floated higher, her bed drifting up through the ceiling and into the thick gray clouds above. When she peeked over the edge of her bed, she gasped. Beneath her, the mist rolled out like an endless sea, filled with mountains of soft, puffy clouds and valleys of fog. Her room was nowhere to be seen. She was in a land where no one had ever been, high above the world, hidden among the clouds. Then she heard it, a low, rumbling sound that turned into deep, rolling laughter. Shapes began to form out of the mist. Enormous figures with bodies made of clouds, eyes like stars, and hair that sparkled with flashes of lightning. They had enormous, puffy paws, and their breaths made the air shiver and hum. These were the cloud creatures, the wildest beings in the sky. The cloud creatures gathered around her bed, their eyes twinkling with curiosity and wonder. They stared down at Luna with their starry eyes, their massive shapes blotting out the dim light from above. "Who dares to enter the land of the clouds?" boomed the biggest one, its voice echoing through the mist. Luna stood up on her bed, her heart pounding with excitement, and held her head high. "I do. I am Luna, Queen of the Clouds," she shouted back. She was not afraid. In this land, she felt powerful and free, fierce and wild. The cloud creatures paused, then threw up their massive, misty arms in applause. "Long live Luna, Queen of the Clouds," they roared, their voices like rolling thunder. "What shall we do, O Queen?" "Let's be wild," Luna cried, her voice ringing out across the misty plains. And so they were. The cloud creatures stomped and spun, their great paws thudding on the cloud ground, shaking the mist into little puffs and wisps. Luna leapt from her bed and joined them, dancing and twirling, her laughter echoing alongside their rumbling roars. She rode on their backs as they leapt through the sky, diving through thick layers of clouds, skimming through sheets of silvery rain, and chasing each other through swirling wisps of fog. They showed her how to call lightning with a clap of her hands and make the thunder rumble with a single stomp. She learned to jump through the clouds so high that she could touch the faint light of the stars above, leaving little sparkles in her wake. They played hide-and-seek in enormous banks of fluffy clouds, and whenever Luna hid, the cloud creatures would find her by her laughter, which was as bright and wild as the sky itself. She felt as big and brave as the clouds, as untamed and fearless as the lightning. As the stars began to blink into the sky, one by one, the cloud creatures gathered around her bed. "Stay with us, Luna, Queen of the Clouds," they murmured, their voices soft and rolling now, like a gentle, faraway storm. Luna looked at her bed, which was waiting for her in a cozy pocket of mist. She felt a pang in her chest, not wanting to leave this magical place or her new, wild friends. But as she looked around at their soft, glowing eyes, she knew it was time to go back. "Goodbye, cloud creatures," she whispered. "I'll come back whenever I close my eyes." The cloud creatures nodded, their gentle eyes gleaming like stars in the mist. watching as she climbed onto her bed. Slowly it began to drift downward, sinking through the mist, through the clouds, back down to where her room reappeared around her. Luna opened her eyes, and there she was, back in her room, her bed settled safely on the floor. The walls were solid, and the sounds of the rain had faded to a gentle patter. But there, on her nightstand, she noticed something new. A tiny, puffy cloud creature, soft and misty, with eyes that glimmered like stars. It smiled at her, curling up in a little ball of mist, waiting just for her. And Luna knew that whenever she closed her eyes, the cloud creatures would be there, just beyond the rain, wild and waiting for her to return.